this time, we will call to order the county council meeting for May. Madam Auditor, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Brad Beaver,
Here.
Mark Hall,
Here.
Ken Alexander,
Present.
Amy Massalamani,
Present.
Sue Mackey,
Present.
Tim Griffin,
Here.
Steve Nation.
Present.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Now I'll ask for the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilor Mackey.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather in service to our local community. We ask that you be with us as we do the good work, your good work, and we ask for your understanding as we move forward. We also ask for your grace with the passing of past County Councilor John Hyatt, who served for 16 years on this body. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Mackey. This time I'll ask for a reading of approval of the minutes from our 4-3 meeting.
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. This time we'll ask for public comment related to items on the agenda. If there are any members of the public? Seeing none, we will move on to committee and officer reports. We do have, as you recall, we had our appointees earlier in the year, February, and we did have a few members who were unable to make that meeting, but they are here now. If those members of our appointed bodies would like to come up to the microphone and introduce yourself, as well as then your board appointment position, we would love for you to do so. So I know Kim, I see you, and Steve.
Good evening, I'm Loretta Sutherland, and I am actually president of the Sheridan Library Board. And thank you for this appointment. I'm in my last 4 of 16 years on the library board. So well done, good and faithful servant, right? Right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Logan, and this is my first time to be appointed to the library board in Fishers for Fishers in Noblesville, the Hepple system. So thank you for that appointment. I appreciate it and look forward to serving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Steve Andrews. After 27 years of being the attorney for the park board, you had the sense of humor to appoint me to it, and I appreciate it. It's been an enjoyable thing to do, and they had the sense of humor to appoint me as president, so thank you, I think.
Thank you.
Thanks,
sir.
Steve.
Is there any comments for that group? I will tell you, you do not have to stay for our meeting. We let everyone else go, so thank you for saying hello, and if you want to scurry on off, we won't hold it against you. So, thank you so much for making the time.
And thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you. Under President, I have nothing further. Thanks again to the group, though, for meeting today, and for the record, we will be having another joint session with the commissioners on June 5th at 5 p.m., just like we did today. So, thanks for everyone's hard work. Madam Vice President?
Nothing to report.
Highway,
We met, and there'll be items on the agenda.
Finance,
We did meet, and I want to thank Sue Mackey. She did a real nice recap of our finance meeting. You all got that, she sent that out. It hit the highlights. If you have any specific questions, chase me down.
thank you. Personnel,
We did meet. There'll be some items on today's agenda.
major projects,
We have not met. We will be meeting. We met earlier, but I think we meet next week, and we'll be sending out minutes after that meeting.
but I do, Lee, if possible, we did not get minutes from this last meeting that we had transcribed and sent out. Can you look into that for me? For the major projects meeting?
Yes, I will do.
Thank you very much. Anything under miscellaneous?
I just have one thing I want to just call to the attention, what a wonderful job people did with the eclipse.
And you look at the continuity from Shane and EMS and from Tammy with Public Relations and the parks and Brenda with tourism. It was just a wonderful, wonderful job. I want to make sure and thank everybody for the job they did. It was great.
Yeah, second that. I actually was probably somebody that wasn't really all that hyped up about it. And then at the events, I was like, wow, this is a lot bigger than I expected. So I humbly had to say, wow, okay, I get it. So thank you to everybody that helped with that.
Anything else? We will move on. We have nothing unfinished, nothing tabled. Moving on to new business, approval of vendor claims. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B, Life Saving Award, Mike Hubbs.
Good evening, counselors. Unfortunately, Casey Guajardo is not here because she has an emergency. She's actually at the hospital, so please keep her in your prayers. But that's why I stand before you this evening, is I want to recognize Casey and bring it to your attention. We often don't recognize a lot of our employees behind the scenes, but on December 28th of 2023, just a few days after Christmas, around 8:46 in the evening, a gentleman who's a citizen of the city of Carmel called 911, desperately needing assistance because his wife was in full cardiac arrest and had practically deceased on the bedside. He did not know CPR, and Casey answered that call, and it was very traumatic. And she stepped him through CPR until the City of Carmel Fire and Police Department arrived, and today she's alive, and they're living happily in the City of Carmel. This was recognized back on March 27th by the mayor of Carmel. At a press conference. It received quite a bit of media attention, but Casey, being a county employee, one of our best 911 dispatchers, I think deserves to be recognized. So we presented her with a life-saving award at that ceremony. So the council, you all do so much for us at the 911 Center. I think it's important you hear the good stuff that goes on there. So that's all I had to say, and thank you to Councilor Griffin for helping me sponsor this.
I had the privilege of being at that, being a Carmel firefighter. I was not on the run, but at the ceremony, and it's amazing because it truly starts with that 911 call. If she doesn't walk that husband through 911, she would not be here today. And so it really did start at, we wouldn't have been able to do what we do without her doing that. So I implore anybody out there, please learn CPR if you haven't. There's plenty of places that you can do it. City of Carmel, I know the fire department, they do monthly trainings. We have it all over. If not, our 911 dispatchers are wonderful and will walk you through it in that emergency. So thank you very much.
What was the employee's name again?
Casey Guajardo. So she would be here. She at 5 o'clock, she had to take her daughter to the hospital, so she would be here.
Pray that all is well, and we appreciate it so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Item C, the Propel US 31 study, Cassidy Hunter.
Cassidy also unfortunately was unable to attend tonight, so I'll be presenting. Sorry, I'm going to pull it up here real quick for you all. I don't know if you all are able to see that screen. Apologize just a second. All right, there we go. Thank you all very much. My name is Dan Miller. I am the Propel US 31 South Study Manager. We talked with you all here last fall. Here with me today is Aiden McCann, and he is the advisor for the Propel US 30 and 31 studies. The purpose of today's briefing is I want to get you all up to speed on what we're doing with the Level 2 release. So when we spoke last in the fall, we were getting ready to talk about the alternatives analysis and releasing the alternatives analysis. That started with the universe of alternatives phase, where we were looking at all of the potential solutions that could address the identified needs within our study area. The universe of alternatives is the first step in our 3-step evaluation process, and we're now in the second phase, which is called Level 2. Just to rehash, because of the size and complexity of the study area, the alternatives analysis is a 3-step process. Each time, there's a smaller number of potential solutions. However, the level of detail increases at each step of the analysis. During the universe of alternatives, 55 improvement concepts were identified that could address the identified needs within our study area. This is the starting point, and it included a variety of things such as location-specific improvements like roadway lighting and acceleration and deceleration lanes, as well as larger scale improvements such as added travel lanes. So the purpose of the Level 2 analysis was to qualitatively evaluate location-specific improvements for reasonability and potential impacts. The improvements considered in the Level 2 screening were identified at the universe of alternatives phase. In Level 2, the 14 potential solutions that were identified as primary and complementary concepts were qualitatively evaluated at the primary intersections within a study area. The primary intersections are locations where US 31 intersects with a roadway that is classified as a major collector or highway or higher. And they are the roadways within the study area that were identified during outreach as critical to the surrounding area, such as access points for school buses, agricultural equipment, and emergency service providers. Therefore, all the alternatives at the primary intersections really influence what can be done upstream and downstream of the secondary smaller areas. They're really the building blocks to what we're going to look at during Level 3. So in general, the Level 2 screening process for the Propel US 31 South study area included 4 steps. The first step was a decision tree. This is an assessment tool which is basically a series of standardized questions, and it was developed to identify a scale of improvements needed at each primary intersection based on the safety and operational data, as well as input from the public. This was applied consistently to each of the primary intersections within our study area. The next step was planning level traffic operation analysis, and concepts that were expected to produce poor traffic operating conditions were eliminated from further consideration. Step 3 was a qualitative evaluation matrix that assessed several factors, including the ability of various improvements to meet the purpose and need, the anticipated social, economic, and environmental impacts, and relative cost. Multiple improvement alternatives were eliminated in this phase due to high impacts or low benefits. The final step of Level 2 screening was a conceptual footprint comparison to establish a high-level estimation of the footprint of the disturbance area. These footprints were then used to screen alternatives with high impacts. So there are 5 primary concepts within our study area. These are brought out within the universe of alternatives, and that includes access management, which are strategies that control and optimize the way vehicles and pedestrians enter, exit, and interact with the roadway. Access management improvements are typically accomplished by reducing conflict points, such as driveways or smaller roadways within the area. Another improvement concept considered was unsignalized intersection improvements. Existing intersections would be reconfigured to improve safety and efficiency. There are several ways that this could be done. It could include implementing innovative intersection types such as reduced conflict intersections, roundabouts, and green T intersections. The next concept considered was crossroad overpasses and underpasses, which is where the intersecting roadway is physically separated and both the highway and roadway become free-flowing. Finally, the next step was making an at-grade intersection, which would be modifying the at-grade intersection with an interchange. In this concept, the at-grade intersection would be modified to separate traffic flow on the major roadway. This would improve safety by reducing conflict points. The major roadway would also have free flow conditions, which improves efficiency. Access to and from the major roadway would be provided via a series of entrance and exit ramps. In the Universe of Alternative Screening memo, free flow facilities were identified as a primary concept. A free flow facility is a roadway where users are not required to stop, and this can be accomplished in a variety of ways, from simply removing traffic signals all the way to making it into a freeway with full limited access control. All these different types of access control will be analyzed as part of the Level 3 analysis. So for the US 31 study area, the Level 2 screening process was focused on the 18 primary intersections within our roadway, or within our study area. It's important to note that US 31 and County Road 400 South intersection was added as a primary intersection because it is the primary access point for Pipe Creek Elementary. So I know that this is a very small screen showing here. This is provided within the report on page 137. It is available online. You can see we have primary concepts and what went through. We also have the complementary concepts and what we looked at. It's important to note that any intersection alternatives carried forward into Level 3 analysis for further study must to some extent address the purpose and needs that we've identified. As I stated, this report is pretty lengthy, so we've also tried to provide resources to the public and others to help make things a lot more digestible. This is a screenshot of our interactive map, and if you all would like to, I could open up the interactive map and run through it with you. It has all 4 study areas. Propel US 31 South is one of 4 study areas, 180 miles of US 30 and US 31. You can click on the appropriate study area. It'll take you in. You can zoom in on all the primary intersections at that study area. And we've provided a video that is a summary of that intersection, constraints that are there, and why the alternative moved forward. So we focused on those alternatives that are moving forward from Level 2. We also have, you can click on it, and we have pulled directly from the report the PDFs that show the area of footprint, the impact for each of the alternatives that are moving forward.
So this is all available now for Hamilton County?
This is all available online, yes. We have all of the reports. We have propelus31.com is the website for the 31 studies, and propelus30.com for the 30s. And you can click on 31 South, and let me move this over here, sorry. So this is the interactive map. And if you click on the study area, and we are 31 South. Sorry, the internet is not loving me right now. So if you click on the 31 South study area, the primary intersections will pop up. And I apologize, this worked at the commissioner's briefing, but it's not popping up now. But if you click on it, there's a video at each of the primary intersections that will run you through things. All of the reports that we've done to date are available. We have a document library. This also includes all of the comments that we received to date. So we have something called the Resource Agency Stakeholder and Public Involvement Summary. After the Universe of Alternatives, which was the first step, we took all the comments from the Universe of Alternatives and responded to each of them. They're found at the end of the Universe of Alternatives. So again, at Level 2, all the comments that we receive as part of Level 2, we will respond to those comments and include them at the end of the report when we finalize that Level 2 draft.
How does the items on this, obviously we have improvements that are happening, not just that we're controlling, but also other parts of the state and others. How does this get updated? Or is the study done and that's the document we've got?
So we'll be working through, we'll have Level 3, which is the next step where we will look at segments within our study area, 3 to 5 mile segments. So with an ours right now, we're anticipating 7 segments and showing what happens. So if you do something large, say an interchange at a roadway, it really impacts what happens north and south of that roadway on 31. And so we'll explain, alternative A has A, B, B, A, and alternative B has A, B, C, A, and there'll be multiple alternatives for that. That will go through. We will then do a Pell report that summarizes everything. Again, come out to the public for a public information meeting, then finalize the report. The report is going to give a range of alternatives. So there's not going to be one alternative set moving forward. Projects will come from these studies, and those projects will go into NDOT's call for projects. And then it would go through the typical project development process that most people are used to seeing. So there still would be full engineering. There would be the NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act. So the design and things, there'd still be a lot of public comment that could change things moving
I
forward at
guess what
that date.
I was referring to, not with the infrastructure, but like when the private sector, like a industrial plant comes popping up that has, and it changes your counts, does this get updated, or is that part of the private sector to figure out and feedback to us?
So we have been coordinating with local elected officials. We've been coordinating across the board with all the counties, finding what things are planned, projected to come, or planned to come, and that has gone into the analysis to date as best as we can. I will say if something comes like this study is for improvements over the next 20 years. It's not for immediate, so there could be projects that come now, and then like if it's a significant investment, then it could be further down the line. If new developments comes or things change, when they do the NEPA analysis as that part of that project development process, that's really when it would be tackled, not by updating the study.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Item E has been moved to next month as Carrie Lively is unavailable. Item E, 911 Communication Center Project, Connor Sullivan. The first item is the resolution CC 0501-2024.1, the resolution of the County Council of Hamilton County, Indiana, approving a lease with the Hamilton County Public Buildings Corporation.
Yes, there's a few people here tonight. Jeremy Olam, who's a partner at Barnes & Thornburg. He is the bond counsel. He'll explain the lease and the eventual bond ordinance. Landon Bain from Robert W. Baird is here to explain the terms of the agreement. And then Mike Hubbs and Steve Wood are here for any questions about the guarantee max price and where we're at on that. One of the most recent times I think we came up to you guys for a financing, there was a concern about what's the bond going towards, and so we were given these pictures. I'm sorry I'm not a Vanna White or something, or have something to hold it up, but here's what the project is.
Really quick, Connor, while you're pulling up your photos.
Yeah, here you go. Nice.
On the resolution, you need a motion and approval on the resolution, but items 2 and 3 on the lease, and then the discussion of the additional for next, you don't need any action. So is that correct? You'll need a motion.
Jeremy, if you don't mind coming and answer that question,
Make
yeah.
sure I had a motion so we could continue
And
discussion.
Connor, could you just show the cameras too, just so
I
that?
had a motion, so we can continue.
Oh, sorry, I'm so moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Now we're good. Thank
Sorry.
you, guys. No, you're fine. Ken and
I motion. Steve Nation.
You can talk while they
I
show
don't
the
want to
picture.
steal any
Go ahead.
thunder away from the photos, right? I'm Jeremy Ullum. I'm a partner with Barnes & Thornburg. We're serving as bond counsel in this transaction. The action tonight is one action, correct? It is the adoption of that resolution. That resolution does a couple things, though. It does approve the form of the lease. That form of lease has been previously approved by the Building Corporation and by the commissioners. It also pledges the PSAP local income tax to the repayment of these bonds. You're the county council, the fiscal body, so that pledge is within your area. So it pledges PSAP lit to the bonds, and then it authorizes, should it become necessary when it's time to go to market with the bonds, the pledge of additional certified shares of lit as kind of a backup source. So this resolution does just those few things. You find that the project is needed, which is a statutory requirement in this process. You approve the lease, and then you pledge the revenue source for the repayment of the bonds ultimately.
Now, let me make sure I understand what you just said.
Yep.
Not only are we gonna pledge PSAP lit, you want us to pledge our county local option income tax to back it up.
That is an option in the resolution, and I think the financial advisors and underwriters can speak as to why they are suggesting that at this point. But yes, PSAP lit being pledged, and then should it become necessary, you're authorizing the president of the council to confirm a pledge of the broader certified shares as a backup. I think Landon can share some numbers with you on that.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeremy. Landon Bain with Baird. Brad, great question. Our plan is to only use PSAP lit as a pledge to the lease.
That's a good plan. I
Now,
like that plan.
the S&P has not been straightforward with us about giving us the AAA rating. And that's why we've allowed it in the case that they've just been very difficult to deal with lately. So, yeah, the plan, the fact that we got a AAA indicative just on PSAP was a win, and it took us about a month and a half to get that.
Okay.
But they're just squirrely. So we wanted to authorize a backup in the event that they gave us something we didn't want.
Will you tell us if you need that?
We can't make that call. You guys make the call.
And the difference would be percentage of interest rate?
And the bond rating. You got it. Yep.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
document says PSAP pledge only. It
Correct.
doesn't say
That's the
anything about
plan.
It doesn't say anything about any other pledge.
That is the current plan. The certified shares are available to be pledged by this body if needed to achieve the AAA bond rating.
Or can we ask you to come back and come before the council again if we need the additional pledge in addition to what you've got on the paper?
You could. You guys can do whatever.
Yes.
Yep.
But would we say no? I mean,
Yeah, I tell them to pay the higher interest rate.
PSAP money's there for a
depends what it
reason.
wa- I guess it depends how much it would be, but, yeah.
Got it.
So right now we have every indication that we're going to get a AAA rating just with the PSAP lit pledge.
And let me add, in your projection, PSAP lit is sufficient, so the backup source is just that, is a backup if needed, if the rating agency should say, hey, we don't think PSAP alone is sufficiently strong, even though it's sufficient to make the debt payments,
You got it.
right?
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure the distinction between a backup and a primary source is.
Oh, we're clear on that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So for this summary sheet, we thought this would be helpful to summarize what the lease and bonds will look like. The maximum authorized amount is 106 million, and that breaks down to the building and the radio projects, which are shown below, which are separately 86 million and 26 million. These are not to exceeds. The financing term for the building component is 25 years to hit the payment amount that 911 Communications can cash flow in their budget. Same with the radios. The 7-year repayment goes with the life of the radios. And then you'll see at the bottom of the page, those preliminary payment schedules show the 7-year payment for the radios and the 25-year payment for the facility. The security, again, is expected to just be PSAP lit. We're expecting a AAA rating. And these are the current interest rates that are as of market conditions on Friday, all subject to change until we actually sell bonds. The radios were initially intended to be leased directly from Motorola. Their quoted interest rate was above 5.25%. So we said, well, it doesn't cost us anything to add it into the bond. And the bond rate is 3.45%. So that saves us about $1.2 million in interest. So that's why that is in the mix. I think that's all we have to cover from the financing aspect.
How long are you amortizing the radios off of?
7 years on the radios.
But they're in a 20-year bond, or 25-year bond?
It's all one bond, but there's two components. So, Mark, if you look down at,
Two pieces of the same bond.
Yeah.
We're depreciating the radios off in 7 years.
you got it. And they're expected to have a 10-year life, so we're going to have a 3-year warranty gap on those before we need to renew radios.
Anything further for consideration?
Section 2 does say, council hereby pledges the county certified shares. Now, if it's insufficient, so it falls back to you.
Yeah.
So we're on the hook for certified shares in addition to PSAP money if we execute the resolution as written.
If you'd like to make changes, we can discuss it. We just need to communicate that, if you'd like to.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Landon, did you have something else?
No, to the PSAP, to the certified shares,
Yeah.
it'd have to come back to your body for that approval. We've worked with Chris Jeter throughout this entire process to try to make sure we're getting.
Yeah, let me just clarify. As drafted, you are authorizing that subject to confirmation by the council president.
Sure.
So you're authorizing the council president to confirm that pledge. If she does not confirm that pledge, because Landon and team come back and say, hey, guys, good news, it's not necessary, that pledge is not made.
Well, understood, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Come back to trigger the president, just to
Right.
give some return, but it could be to all of you if you want.
Right, as drafted, it does not require it to return trip to the entirety of the council.
If you guys would rather I do it, I honestly.
Puts a lot of pressure on you if it comes back to you. Yeah, I don't want to speak for the council. My preference is that they body, if they've got to come, we got to pledge certified lit, or certified chair.
Timing issue? Does that create a timing issue?
This is gonna be, this is gonna be done this year. So it's not like, I
Yeah, right.
have no problem with you doing it.
It would add a return trip to the council. So if you get to the rating discussion and you determine you need a backup source, then we have to come back to the council. That would be the additional time step, so it just depend on how those meetings fall.
The body majority based on this, they're comfortable with it being the president.
Yeah, my,
so we
my,
can
my
continue
motion,
this.
my motion was for
Okay.
as written.
As written, yep.
Very good.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
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 5-2, motion carries. We'll move on to the second portion, which is the lease itself.
I'm sorry, Madam President, I didn't know if you want us to discuss the appropriation and the bond ordinance as well. We were working with Chris, so we thought it'd be good just to prep you guys, or discuss this with you prior to us presenting it next month. If
Sure.
that's okay.
So the process here, the county currently owns the site. The building corporation will be the issuer of the bonds and will ultimately own the facility that they'll lease back to the county. So they need to acquire that site from the county. When they do that, they'll be doing so with bond proceeds. So the county will receive, let's say the site is $10, for an example, we'll receive $10 of bond proceeds. We'll be back in a month asking you to appropriate that $10 to go back into the project, as it should, and which is, as it is in nearly every lease financing of a county facility. But we just wanted to preview that for you, so when you see an additional appropriation on the next agenda, you're not wondering what it is.
Any questions?
Who owns the building corporation?
The county appoints the members of the building corporation. It's an affiliate of the local government.
Is it its own independent corporation?
It's an Indiana nonprofit corporation, correct?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. We
Yep.
appreciate it. This time we'll move on to item 10, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers, and I will open the public hearing concerning additional appropriations. Item A, Fund 1000, County General. The first item within that fund is the Auditor 144 amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2, Commissioners, there are 4 items. Item 2A is an additional in the amount of $75,771.85.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is just the
Society.
Humane Society getting our, I think we all agreed on that one.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2B, additional in the amount of $2,004,900. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2C, 144 amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item D, a transfer in the amount of $27,603.60.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3A, Court Administration 144 amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item A4, Buildings and Grounds additional in the amount of $1,704,650.42.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 5, Sheriff 144 amendment.
Approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 6, there are 2 items. I do have one clarification for the auditor. The second B, basically the large B, was that in number 5?
That's supposed to be the sheriff, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Okay, so is it accurate?
It should have been further to the left.
6. Yeah, that should have been,
Big A, big B.
Oh,
Got
big
it.
B.
Thank you very
It was
much.
indented too far.
Okay. So we did have some discussion around something else. If you want to come up to the podium, while we're waiting for him to arrive, is there a motion for the 144 amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, just very recently, something's come up that like to ask your indulgence in doing, and that would be to amend the 144 for our non-CDL seasonal line item. It's, was budgeted at $17.25 up to $17.25 an hour, but the part-time general line item is budgeted up to $19 an hour. And so we're attempting to hire summer people right now. And so we'd like to see that $17.25 be adjusted to match the part-time general.
Madam Auditor, do I amend the agenda and then add it, or can we go ahead and just approve
I think
with?
they've always amended before.
Yes.
You amend the agenda and then you vote.
Motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion
Great.
carries. And now we will
Motion to approve.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. Fund 1138,
Second.
any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, Fund 1140, cumulative courthouse requesting $1,360,000.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C2, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to our announcements. Mr. Sheriff,
I don't have anything, thanks.
Council Attorney,
I don't have anything.
Madam Auditor.
Hi, yeah, budget instructions.
It's like, we need to figure out, do we want to maintain what we've done in the past? Or is there a definitive from council? Are we anticipating new hires? Do you want
Did
to allow
you-
everyone to ask? What-
Did you run a number if we accept the next step in the WIS study, Dawn?
Yes, and it's less than $1 million to go to the new work study.
Okay.
And that's as it stands at this moment. You know,
That's-
that would go up if you allowed new employees or anything like that.
Okay.
So I would maintain that we continue how we did last year, right? Similar budget instructions, and I know Ken had some maybe potential additional requests.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to it, and I think last year was for all the department heads, that was really good information for us as we are looking to look, because adding people for some tasks that might not necessarily need to be added if we can find automation elsewhere.
I would just say we need to ensure that there's been a lot of due diligence in what's presented and make sure you have a detailed cover sheet and think about being efficient within your department. And if there's areas of opportunity, please communicate those. I mean, I think that's the bigger.
So we're going to allow to go up the next step in the WIS study, and anybody that wants new people can ask for them.
I believe so,
Okay.
yes. Is that how council feels? Is there anything additional that you'd like to add? Is there anything, Madam Auditor, that we might be forgetting that would be important for you to include in budget instructions?
No,
I believe so.
who's going to add the new stuff on the new?
Do you want me to take the
people?
first stab and show and run it by council?
What?
Sure.
I'll be happy to pen that and send it to council and see if you guys are okay with
Okay,
language, and if you guys
language.
choose not to.
I mean, I would just say, I don't know how different it is from last year. I think we
I'm
asked.
sorry, I didn't bring last year's.
No, that's okay. If you'd like to, and then share it with council, and we can determine if there needs to be adjustments. That's fine.
I think we did ask that same question,
I
kind
think
of.
we did,
and-
in its own way.
But it was more about, are you utilizing Workday?
But I don't necessarily think that
I
it needs to
think
be.
Workday's caused more
I would say
headaches
you
than
need to
it's-
take that, I think it just needs to be
Well,
looked, are you looking at it from an efficiency perspective? I mean, I don't know if the question can be answered. I don't believe that the overarching consensus is that Workday has solved problems across the
Made it more
board
efficient?
as of yet. I don't know that I believe that it has created the I can't, I'm not the department heads, but I feel as though the general consensus is there may be still concerns around Workday, so I can't.
The counselors had a conversation with the judges. They want Well, I met with a couple of them, and they want more judges.
Yep.
Of course, I told them we were out of room,
Well, I think we already,
and we did,
already did that,
we
right?
did, we approved one, they
we have
want,
the child will be
yeah,
back.
they want two
They
more.
might need
We
three
expect
more.
that
Well, I
magistrate
guess they'll
appointment any
come
day.
back and show us in their data points, right?
Okay,
Okay, anything further for budget hearings, or instructions rather? Okay, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys.